Hi, I'm your host, Robert Jackson, and this is How to Survive Being a College Student. Now, here's a question for you. Why is it impossible to eat healthy at a college cafeteria? Here's the answer. The game is rigged, and you're doomed. Now, this isn't completely true. You can make healthy food choices at the cafeteria, but the college cafeteria is a product of our time, meaning that it's affected by our easy access, our low quality, and our fast food mentality. The good news is that if you have the right mentality, then you should be able to eat right, which means that you'll be able to sleep right, work right, and study right. With that said, I have to give this disclaimer. We here at How to Survive are not doctors, nutritionists, medical professionals, or financial advisors. We are not the experts, so if you do have specific questions on being healthy, you should contact those experts. And most schools, depending on their size, should have a couple of them if they're big enough. Now, let's get into the meat of our conversation. If you live on campus, you're pretty much doomed. Living on a college campus usually involves getting a meal plan, and for many first year students, these meal plans are mandatory. This is rather a shame because if that was the case, the financially stable option would be not to stick to the meal plan. You could still make healthy food options while in the cafeteria, just as you still make bad food decisions outside of the cafeteria, but it will probably be harder for you because the main food staple of a cafeteria is fast food. And the food that they do offer will be a lower quality and a little tasteless.
Look, all I know is the food looked iffy. Alright? And I'm not the only one who thinks that, I'm sure.
The good news is that if you have any dietary restrictions, cafeterias and restaurants are getting better at offering diet friendly options, which are usually healthier for you. Or at the very least, they'll offer a salad bar so you can get your greens in. Now let's talk about eating off campus. If you're eating off campus, the main piece of advice I'd give would be to avoid eating out. Eating out is way more expensive than cooking the food yourself. You can buy enough food for a couple meals of the same price it takes to buy burgers at the nearest joint, or unless you eat gourmet, the quality of food is usually better too. Now, if, say, you are with friends, or it's your birthday, or you all decide you want to go to a special restaurant to celebrate, that's perfectly fine, but don't make it a regular habit of relying on these shops for your daily sustenance. If you want an easy burn through your cash, eat at a restaurant 3 times a day, and there you go. All right, let's talk about cooking at home. Now, if you're one of those people who doesn't necessarily really know how to cook, here's a little tip for you. It's never too late to learn. Cooking is a skill, which means that it takes time to master. The good news is that you really don't it really doesn't take that much time to really make a decent meal. There are plenty of blogs and YouTube channels on how to cook, and you can take cooking classes online or in person that can help you out. You can go see a friend who is a cooking aficionado and learn how they do it. The options are literally boundless. The only thing it will cost you is time and effort, and you get a meal out of the deal. Here's an extra little note. If you're living on campus, you may have to use a communal kitchen to cook food. If that's the case, be extra vigilant about cleaning up after yourself so that the people who come after you have a space to work in. This is not like living at home. People don't like it when you leave a mess. I'm sure your mom didn't either. Next, let's talk about how to get more for less. So, now we get to the money side of things. Food is quite the investment, and there are many variables when it comes to how we can get that food. You may have to do a little price comparison between stores, but in general, buying and cooking your own food will be cheaper and healthier for you than getting it at a restaurant, unless you're buying at, say, Whole Foods. If you want more info, I'd recommend reading this article from the Financial Diet, which has a lot of info about budgeting and saving money. And the info can also be found down below. Other cost-friendly options include food banks and food stamps. Those places are great for people with not a whole lot of money to spend extra on food. Find your local food bank and visit them. There usually is a food pantry or a bank somewhere on campus that students have easy access to. My editor had volunteered at a food bank for years, and he knows that the people who buy food for those aren't are masters at getting discounted goods. There are also stores that sell food for discounted prices. These stores are generally smaller, and the food tends to be a little bit lower quality, but if you're a broken, starving college student, what are you going to do? Finally, we come to the most important part: what should you eat? Firstly, you probably shouldn't be eating too much processed food like hamburgers or pizza. Most people should avoid eating food with high amounts of fats and processed carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, which is just another word for sugar. Carbohydrates and fats are the molecules needed to create energy in your body. You do need them in order to function, but since meat, grains, and sugars are readily available in stores and restaurants, the problem isn't getting enough of them, but is really having too much left over. When we eat too many of these molecules, our body doesn't know what to do with the excess. It's pretty much left with one option: save the rest for later. So the body stores those excess carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids as body fat. This is obviously a broad generalization of why too much of anything is bad, but it gets the picture across, I'm sure. There will be more links below in the description of the science of fats and carbohydrates. For now, eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, as well as proteins. When it comes to eating starches, try to eat whole grains, such as brown rice, oatmeal, whole grain bread. Avoid drinking energy drinks and sodas. You can be, obviously lenient when it comes to coffee or black tea in the morning, but try not to overdo it. Just drink water. Water is a safe bet. It's like the oil of our life force. Avoid eating large meals, which will spike your blood sugar and affect your concentration. Don't skip meals, especially breakfast, and allow yourself some time in between meals for your body to process them. I've placed a link in the description for more specific advice on what foods to eat to improve your focus. Well, that's all the time I have for the moment. I hope this video has been helpful for you. This week we've covered food situations on and off campus, learning to cook, how to save money on your food, and also some healthy food advice. Next time we'll be covering living with a roommate and how that affects your daily life. That's all the time I have for now, and I'll see you in the future.